So
Okay,
yeah, I said yeah. No, it's I have been in Dubai. It's a very nice place. It's very beautiful. I actually went there several times. The activities, but I recommend Dubai maybe 1 week. After that, it's
yeah, no.
boring. It's a very small area. It's very boring.
But they have a huge expat population there, which is interesting.
Yeah,
Mostly
yeah.
from Europe.
Mostly from Europe, in my opinion, based on my observation. When you go to uh, Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Qatar, these very wealthy, rich cities and nations, you will see the division of class in the workforce.
100%.
So you see what nations they have a very bottom of the food chain customer service, who's getting the
Yep.
middle corporate and who's getting the higher
100%.
corporate. So I
But
guess
but I'll
yeah,
tell you that when you travel in Asia, same thing.
same thing almost everywhere. But there is no market like United States. I love the United States. This is what my brother my brother came my this is so he did a back to back. He was here 6 months. He went back um, 2 months ago back to Greece, and he came back 2 weeks ago again. So when he was here before election, my kids were here for summer, and my son is like, "Hey, Uncle Ali, can you take me to President Trump's rally?"
Oh,
And my brother was like, and they trick my brother. They say, "Hey, his rally starts at it starts at noon." So my brother took them to rally in Doral. The doors open at noon, but the president's speech was at 8 p.m. So they got sunburned and everything.
oh,
So, as someone that visiting from Greece, coming here, attending a Trump rally, it was a good experience for him. I never
that's
been to a Trump
wild.
rally, so
That's wild. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
I love it.
So I wanna kind of start with my own background. Um, how I met you, and um, on the behalf of veteran community and whoever uh, work with you, I know you are very caring about veterans because I experienced that myself. I experienced that with my coworkers, and I know that you manage so many programs. It's not only the grant for veterans. There's civilians, spouses, you manage so much, but your focus always was about the veterans, and you truly understand the problems that veterans experiencing. For example, mental illness. Um, Even as someone that worked for you, uh, you had different approach talking to me, talking to my coworkers that we were combat veterans that any other employees, because you had broad view of understanding what we went through and how we got there. Uh, you I don't want to use the term babysit, but you welcome us. You're like, these guys. They are my kids, and I know what is what can trigger them. What can Sometimes I feel like I was like, man, I feel bad because Deborah knows what we went through. We are supposed to finish the task and she's our boss. She's telling us what to do, but at the same time, she knows the challenges that we had in life. And I think this is a subject that I want to start with. We always talk about, especially in the United States, I'm focusing here, we value our public service a lot. We value the individuals that work for public, whether state or federal level. Um, but also, just like every other profession, we have bad apples. My mother is a physician. We got good doctors, bad doctors. We got good lawyers, bad lawyers. We got good soldiers, bad soldiers, right? So, but we value our public service so much compared to many other nations. And so when you talk to foreigners, when someone like my family that visiting from outside of the United States, and they stay here for a while, and then they understand, we it's different when you work for the city, for the county, for state, for federal government. It's different to other countries. In other countries, majority of countries, usually people they give up hope on their in the public employees, because there's corruptions, there's like sometimes they come to work at 9 and they leave at noon, things like that happen. But I want to start with that you value yourself public service a lot. You spend your life on that, and that's why when I work with you, I noticed that how caring you were about veterans, and emphasizing on veterans grant, helping veterans, pushing us forward to find job for veterans, and making connections with different leaderships, different organizations to help the veterans. So I wanna uh, uh, for someone that you helped me as well. We were talking about that before we started the podcast. You were the person that as I explained to you, I have a flashback. You were writing a recommendation letter for me for the master's program at University of Miami, and while you were writing, I remember I was in your office. You look up and you said, "You should do a PhD," you know. So, and I was in shock because I had a light bulb growing on top of my head. I was like, you know what? Nobody told me that before, and this individual is telling me you should do a PhD. And I remember that day you mentioned you value higher education a lot. You told me about your kids, how you push your kids forward, to get higher education yourself as well. So I want to use this opportunity to thank you for what you're doing for the veterans community. I have seen you in actions. I have seen your husband in action. I first Paycheck for Patriot. He was running a whole show in the back. I remember that. I exactly remember what he was wearing. He was wearing a white shirt and black pants. He was in the back, playing a national anthem, organized. You brought all the companies in there. So individuals like yourself and your family that not only focusing on your personal life and your professional life, but you are helping the public, helping your community. It's it's a blessing for us, and I mean that, and I truly mean that, because as someone that I've been vocal about it, as someone that went through tough time after I left my military service, sometimes people they give up on you. They say, "Hey, you had this opportunity, you lost it," but they don't see behind the scenes why I lost it. It can be two things. It can be my mistake, or it can be the things shadows that are around me that push me to fall in that trap. And every mistake since I met you as my boss, every mistake I made, whether I was when I was working with you, and then I moved to different program working for a state, and I left that program. You were standing by me, whether writing recommendation letter for me, or guide me, or telling individuals that work for you, like Bobby, "Hey, you help Reza. I know he's not with us, but help Reza go find. He needs to find a job," and so on. So there are individuals like yourself that public should recognize and know that it's very important to have you within this sector to help help veterans and civilians, especially that we are talking about Broward County or the state of Florida, because when I watch the local news, cutting for workforce based on the budget and things like that, as someone that worked for the government, I know the waste of money. I know the money can go to waste. I know you hire individuals that don't do anything, and and the money goes to waste. But there are individuals like yourself that work their neck off, um, uh, running everything, caring for everyone, always available, always answer their phone, running several programs helping veterans, civilians, spouses, homeless population, and so on. So it's very important to have more individuals like yourself in different areas of the country to be able to help people. So, um, is the veteran grant still around?
It is. It is.
So, what's the focus of that grant
Okay.
currently?
So right now, as you know, we're in a flux in our state and in our federal government. So we're kind of in a holding pattern at this point to see what's going to happen in the future. However, the Department of Labor did provide for us to have the grant at this moment. The state of Florida's grant was cut as far as the overall budget. So our veterans program, as far as personnel across the state, I think is going to decrease, but the services themselves will happen in other places. And I think Governor DeSantis, Casey DeSantis, governor's wife, was very, very adamant about establishing a program called Hope Florida, where there's an overarching umbrella over the state for anybody who's barriered, anybody who's having any kind of issues. It doesn't even have to be employment. If there's an issue with funding, if they're homeless, if there's medical issues, if they are just struggling in any area of their life, anybody who lives in Florida can get up onto the Hope Florida website and be directed to a navigator who will then help them in that area. So while we're in the career sources around the state helping veterans locally, there is a statewide initiative to make sure that all populations who are having problems in any area are helped. The veterans especially, they have a specific area for veterans, so it doesn't have to only be employment. Any veteran can get onto the Hope Florida website and find assistance. And what Hope Florida has done, which I'm so thankful for, because I think that you and I have talked about it for years. Many times, government agencies, community resources, nonprofit organizations all work in silos. So no one knows what everybody's doing. And when I came into this position, that was the one thing that I really focused on. Yes, I worked with all of you, but my focus was really to link the community resources together so that everybody knew who each other was and what each other did. So if we had somebody walking through the door, albeit you're right, I have many programs that I'm responsible for. So if it was a community member walking through the door who wasn't a veteran, or a veteran walking through the door, we knew who the local community resource people were, so we could pick up that phone and have that connection to say, listen, I have so-and-so sitting in my chair. I'm going to be working on the employment part, but right now they have a need. They are food insecure. They don't have any place that's safe to stay. They're running out of resources. They need help getting benefits, whatever that area is. There are people in the community that do that, but we have Broward 211, but it's one thing at a time. So that community link, that knowing what the resources that are available, helps people. So I think that they took over that part of it. I'm getting back to what you're saying. I know I went around. But getting back to what you're saying, yes, we will still be up and running in Broward County as far as helping veterans and employers with veteran employment, but Hope Florida can help with everything else. So we reach out to our community and local people. Hope Florida will also be reaching out. And so when those connections are made, that person may be able to walk into one place and have multiple things happen, almost like a one-stop shop. So if I need help with housing, if I need help with food, if I need clothing, if I need child care, whatever that is, or I need something on an emergency right now, I'll be able to get that in one place or through several people who the Hope Navigator then becomes that one main contact to help that veteran or help that person. We specifically are trying to really now concentrate on employment. So working with community leaders, working with employers within the community to understand veterans that are coming back in, that are transitioning in, or veterans that have been in the community that just need to be sustainable. That's our real focus, and getting those veterans in our door. We just finished, we wrote for and we got a grant this year and last year, each $1 million, to help veterans with training and support services. So any veteran that walked in that maybe their car wasn't working, so they couldn't get to an interview, they couldn't get to even our office, we would pay to have that car fixed. We did that for several veterans. One veteran didn't have a bed, so he was sleeping on a hard floor. That was a problem. One veteran didn't have the right set of clothing. We were able to get him a job in a law office, but he didn't have appropriate attire. We were able to get him vouchers. He went shopping. We made sure that when he showed up on his first day and his first month, he had the right set of clothing to continue, and he's doing very well. Those veterans were helped with that grant. But you know what? We have veterans like you, other people that walk in that are highly talented, highly trained, have multiple degrees, yet people see they're a veteran and employers have a specific idea. They're watching these movies that every single veteran that walks through the door is going to be a problematic employee because they're going to go off. That's not true. So getting those employers to see the leadership, the skill set that veterans bring to the workforce is really important, and that not every veteran is barriered to a point where they don't function. That's true of maybe 0.001% of veterans that come back that have to work through tremendous issues in order to get to a point to be work ready. Most of the veterans are. So we're starting to see those people walk through the door and get those management jobs, those C-suite level jobs, because once they're in them, they're the ones that lead. Look what's happening now in our country. Look who our leaders are. I want to say that 85 to 90% of them have some connection to the military, whether they're a veteran, whether they're a military spouse, whether they're the child of a veteran. All of those family members that are linked to somebody that was in the military go through very similar things. Well, the person who was serving goes through their own area because they're outside of the family at that point. The family still goes through many of the same iterations, right? So they learn those leadership skills as they're going through. Spouses have to be strong. They have to be organized. They have to be able to take on responsibilities that maybe that if you were in a home with each other, you would split, especially when you have children. That person that's left behind with the children now becomes that sole leader in the house, so they've got to take care of all that. Children have to learn how to be organized, how to be able to be flexible, how to be resilient at a really young age and go through all of that. So any person that's in a military family that's connected, you're going to find a lot of those same skill sets that are those soft skills that really help once you get into the workforce and the economy, and that drives businesses to do better. So I think I answered the question
Yes,
for you.
you did. So as far as Hope, is that Hope for Florida?
Hope, Florida.
Hope, Florida. What are the steps for veterans to enroll in this program?
All they need to do is get on their computer, type in Hope Florida, the page comes up. They can either fill out the information on their phone, they can do it on a computer, or there is a number for Hope Florida that's there. They can call in. So those navigators are there all the time for assistance.
And is that available for their spouses as well? Do they have?
Anybody who's military connected. Actually, Hope Florida is for everyone. So any resident living in Florida who needs help can get up onto Hope Florida and get the assistance that they need, or they will drive them to the assistance that they need in their communities. But if you're a veteran, there's a special page for
That's
them.
perfect. And this is fully run by the state of Florida, right?
Fully run by the state
One
of
of the
Florida.
challenges that I had when I was working for SSVF program, started as a homeless veteran outreach. Um, this is, and I want to take your intake about this. I think there were so many non-profit or a small organization stacking up on top of each other that VA has its own thing, social workers, and then you had the non-profit SSVF program, and then we have Career Source, and we have all these programs, which that's one of the first signs when I was working for SSVF. I noticed that yeah, SSVF is an amazing program, but why the VA doesn't do this? Why the VA social workers, the SSVF money, the money that a nonprofit organization in SSVF would have received from the government, it was a lot. And only 40% of that money had to spend on veterans, and the rest has to be spent on the company, which didn't make sense at all. Which that company that I was working for, it got shut down,
Exactly.
for obvious reasons, right? So that's something that uh, when I was at Career Source, actually things was going very well, because you had the section helping you with finding job, you had a section to get you with the right individuals if you are suffering from homelessness, if you have any other medical problem and issues. and and I personally don't like that there are so many substack, excuse me, over each other, that just routing people. And I'm happy that I never heard about Hope for Florida, so I'm glad that you had this huge umbrella in the states that created and that covers everyone. One thing that I want to emphasize, it's the job for veterans. As someone in past that helped veterans to link those veterans with the employees, with the employers, it's I never seen that connection, that someone reach out to the hiring, to the HR, to the hiring representative, to the president of the company, and so on. Depends on the size of the company. That, hey, this is a state law, this is federal law. If you hire a qualified veteran, if someone that is qualified for that role, you might get certain type of recognition, such as
Correct.
tax break and so on. Unfortunately, most of the hiring process, HR and so on, they refer you, hey, this is our website, go apply for the job. But they do not have that direct link for these individuals. So what is your take on that?
Okay,
And
so
yes.
I can tell you that, when I first got there, you're absolutely right. That's exactly how it was. I've changed the shift. There is a major paradigm shift in how Career Source Broward is now working with employers. Uh, the new business manager, his name's Dan Leary. I don't know if you've had the opportunity
No.
to meet him. We work hand in hand with each other, so that as we work with employers in the community, and Dan's a veteran, so it's helped a lot. Whether he goes out or one of my local employment reps go out with him, so one of my leavers go with him, we are really educating now the employers that Career Source works with, um, about veteran programs, about tax credits that they can get through the federal government and the state, because there are now both. So we work through that with them. We also have a program called Workforce Wednesdays, where we do training with employers. They can hop on Zoom, or they can come in. We always have coffee, donuts, and bagels for them if they come in. But we work with them to enlighten them on not only programs that are going on with Career Source, but also what happens with veterans. What happens if I hire a veteran? How can I walk through that process? of making sure that there's something there for me that I'm going to have a tax break for. We've established a lot of on-the-job trainings. We've moved away a little bit away from apprenticeship, because when a veteran comes out of service, they don't really need an apprenticeship unless they're going into a field that requires an apprenticeship or a journeyman to get licensed. So if that's not the case, we would prefer the employer to do an on-the-job training. It gives that employer a little bit more flexibility in how they want to train that individual, and we now pay up to 75% of the salary for a period of 16 weeks while that person's training. But that person is considered hired full-time. They have either a letter or a contract saying that they've actually been hired by the company. And then we work with the employer to reimburse on salary. And it's made a huge difference for getting veterans who are coming back that have a very good baseline, but maybe they need a little bit of training more to get those jobs and be upskilled into that job. So we've been able to work very closely with employers. Our employer outreach has stepped up because of what's happened in Broward County, right? We have businesses coming in now that are a little bit different in nature. A lot of finance is coming in, a lot of IT is coming in, as you know. They're coming into Broward County, which is great. So the amount of jobs that veterans are really set up for, because a lot of people now coming out of the service do have those skill sets, or while they're in service, they're gaining those skill sets. So if they're coming to us, we can get them into programs where they can get those certificates they need. If they have already the schooling, we can get them into school. We can help them with their GI Bill, or we can give them a $12,000 scholarship to get upskilled, or we can put them in apprenticeship, or both.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's given veterans a very large window of opportunity to get into an area that they like, and working with the airports, aviation companies, IT companies, manufacturing companies. We're starting to see those higher level jobs available to veterans where they weren't available before because employers were scared. Now they understand what it is to hire a veteran. We work with them on those opportunities, the leadership skills they're bringing, the soft skills, the technical skills that they're bringing to the jobs, and then we also work with them on those tax credits. So it really is a win-win for everybody. And you know that Florida is a work at will state, so they're not tied in, just like they wouldn't be with me walking in the door. So once employers see that they have a lot of options, but they're getting somebody who already has those skill sets at the beginning, they're more apt to now hire veterans, which I think is great. Our employment rate, our fill rate for the people walking through the door now is at about 87%, which is great. We just got an award. We came in second in Broward County for entered employment rate for veterans. So that's pretty good. And when you're second in the state and you have 1.4 million veterans living here.
I have to mention for our audience that all of your services are free of charge.
Correct.
For public and for the veterans, correct?
Correct. We actually are really part of the state organization. Mm-hmm. So yes, everything is at no cost to anybody that walks through the door, whether you're an employer or you're coming in as a job seeker, or maybe you're not even job seeking yet, you're trying to get trained. All of that is at no cost. And I have to just mention, we have tremendous amount of training that is available. And when I go out, and I go out now, I'm in Doral and Homestead quite often, talking to the transition classes for those military members that are in service and getting ready to transition out, and their spouses, to let them know that we have training available. There's training dollars available. And I hear veterans say all the time, oh, well, you know what, I'm going to use my GI Bill. okay, but you know what? If I have an opportunity for you to start your training and you're eligible and we have a $12,000 scholarship that's available to you plus your books, plus, some support services and gas and some other things that you need, why wouldn't you come and take advantage of that first? So that you can use your GI Bill later on, like I said to you, when you want to go and get that next degree, when you want to do something different. Maybe you're getting trained in an area now, but you work at it 2 or 3 or 4 years and you realize, yeah, it did great. It brought money into my home. It was okay, but it's not my passion. Now I want to go find my passion. I think this is what I want to do and I want to go back to school. Well, guess what? Your GI Bill's there for you because you did training with us. You became part of the workforce. You transitioned into civilian life because let's face it, and we haven't talked about it yet, but it is a transition. You're going from being highly structured where somebody is telling you as a young adult what to do, and you come into that structured environment and you're doing it every day, and there's somebody above you saying, yes, you're going to do this now, you're going to live here now, this is what you're going to do for the preponderance of your life. And guess what? Your family's following in the same footsteps, right? Everything's structured. Now you're put out there and it's not structured, so you look around and you say, okay, what am I going to do next? How do I structure my life? I need to have that structure. So that first opportunity of training may put you into a field that you think you want to go into, or maybe it's something that you knew so it was comfortable and you went into that field, but it really isn't what you want to do. You now have learned to transition into the community. You're a part of the community, and now you want to find your passion. Going back to what you said, why do I do what I do? Because it's my passion. Now you have the opportunity to go back to school and get that degree and move on and find your passion and enter into a new area of life. Because we're not our grandparents. We're not going to start a job. We're not going to work at that job for 35 years, whether we like it or not, get the little gold watch at the end and then retire. That's not where we are in America anymore. Right? We move on from that. We have those opportunities, and you talked about why. America's an interesting place. We have opportunity. We have opportunity to find our passion in whatever we do, whether it's in our personal life, whether it's in our professional life. We have those freedoms, which thank you for your service that you all gave us to stay free and to find our passion. And there are going to be iterations as you are a young adult all the way through. You're going to have iterations in your life. It's going to change. Things that are happening now make you feel great, but guess what? You're going to change. You're going to pivot. There's something else that's going to fulfill you in the second part of your life and the third part of your life. So we want to make sure that we're forward thinking when we come out of service, whether you're the spouse or the veteran, and do something that gets you into the workforce, makes you comfortable. You learn those soft skills. Okay, what's the technical skill that I want to do now? Oh, I didn't even know that was an opportunity for me. I think I want to try that. And then you have your GI Bill to do it. So we really want people to come in and work with us. Get the job now. We know everybody needs money to pay their bills. And that's, right there is what you need for that moment. But what are we going to do in the future? What's going to fulfill me emotionally? Once I get past the point where I know I have a roof over my head and I know I can eat, now what? So that's the key to talking to, and I think that's what's important when you come into CareerSource, that you're actually talking to another veteran, because they understand that whole transition. They may not have experienced what you have, but they understand that transitional process. And it is a process. And it's easier sometimes to speak to a veteran or a family member of a veteran, a military spouse, or even a child, depending on where they are in that process, because they understand that transition is hard. Even if it's a positive transition, it's hard. So you go through that, and you go through that emotional part of transition. Am I good enough? I don't understand why people can't understand why they need to go from ABC, and they're going from A to D, and then they're back to B. They're making me crazy because I'm used to ABC. And that sometimes is really hard because you're looking at the person next to you, if you're a veteran, saying, I don't understand why they're so unorganized. In my mind, it's ABC. It's really easy. What's going on here? Or you have a boss that's like that. Now, how do you handle it? Because they're making you crazy, right?
Correct.
So those are the things that we try to work our veterans through to get to a point where they are in work and they're successful. Because those little things are the things that make you crazy when you get home at night.
Correct.
So I hope I answered
Oh yeah,
that
absolutely.
in a way.
One thing I want to mention that Career Source has so many services. We're gonna talk about the basically non-veteran services as well.
Okay.
But for the veterans, has so many options.
Yes.
And I have to emphasize on that to my fellow veterans. There is no obligation. It's a free service.
Correct.
You go there, and as Deborah mentioned, it's you're working one-on-one with the veteran, because I always say there's so many benefits out there for veterans
Right.
that I don't know most of them. But
Wow.
when two veterans, they sit together and talk to each other, oh, I did this. I had this grant available to me. I got this help for my housing.
Correct.
Someone got me a suit to go to the interview, or this kind of organization, you can get the car and so on. So,
Right. So
but,
let me tell
yeah.
you what I did. I have to tell you. So I'm very proud of my veteran resources. So we have partnered with a couple of community agencies where when a veteran comes in and they're eligible for this grant. So we work with all veterans. But there are veterans who have barriers to employment, and I think that's what we're talking about now. It's our JVSG grant. So the barriers to employment, the law has changed. It's opened it up, and the federal government now realizes that there are more veterans that are barriered, and the spouses that are barriered to employment, and they've opened up the grant so that more people are eligible. So if you're a transitioning service member, if you are a veteran between the ages of 18 and 24, if you have a regular disability, or you have a service-connected disability, if you are low income. And by the way, the definition of low income also means if I lose my job today, I'm now low income. You're eligible for the grant. And guess what, transitioning service members? On your last day of service, and you're done on Monday, Tuesday, you are now considered unemployed. You're eligible for the grant. Walk through our doors. Sit down and speak with one of our vet reps. Let them help you come up with a plan. You don't have to be job ready right away, and you don't even have to know what you want to do. All you want to do is come in and speak with a veteran so we can say to you, listen, we know you need to go back to work. Let us help you with a plan and get you work ready. We have workshops available for you to come in. There are groups that are available. And like you said, Reza, when you're sitting talking to that person, you find out, I can go to the VSO over here. I don't have to go to the VA to do that because I hate going to the VA. We have VSOs all over who are going to help you with your benefits. We have partners like Mission United who have days, Mondays and Thursdays, that they have veteran days. They have actually a beautiful office building just for veterans. And on those days, it's a one-stop shop in there. You walk in, the VSOs are there. You need clothing, there's somebody there to help you there. You're food insecure, there's somebody to help you. You need help with childcare so that you can go back to work or you can go out on interviews. There's someone there. You need cash assistance because Maybe you didn't plan so well. And sometimes that happens, right? It's not that you meant to do it, you just didn't realize. You need emergency temporary housing, there's someone there. You need help, we're there. With employment, we're going to get you going and then get you to come into our offices. So all of that is there. But if you don't walk through the door, you're never going to know. And then once you are work ready, you're going to work with another veteran who's going to advocate for you in the community. And I have to tell you, Reza was one of the best when he worked there. They're going to go out and they're going to talk to those employers. So if you know that you're work ready, and let's say you want an IT job, that person's going to go out and speak to every single HR manager that they know about you. They're going to literally walk that resume into that HR manager's office. We have established now a phenomenal relationship with the HR managers. Our Paychecks for Patriots job fair in November, we had 200 employers there, plus community resources there. 200 employers in Broward County. And I want to tell you that my staff has relationships with all of them. We can pick up the phone and say, hey, Reza, I have a great person for you. I'm sitting here with the resume. I'm going to email it over to you, but I'm going to call you back because I really want to tell you what this person brings to the table because I know them.
Correct.
And those are the kinds of things that we do at Career Source. If you're uncomfortable interviewing, guess what? We're going to send you to a resume workshop right with us on site. But guess what's going to happen after that? Your veteran staff's going to do mock interviews with you. So by the time you're ready to walk into that interview, you're ready. You're ready to roll. You feel comfortable in your own skin. You know you've got it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work with our veteran population to make sure that when they transition, they're there, and we're there for them after.
Yeah, all you see, when I left the so I joined the army twice.
I know
so
you did.
I was enlisted. I finished my enlistment contract. I got out. When I got out, nothing was right. What you explained to me was there.
Right.
We went to the out processing center in the military base, and it was a very stupid class of drafting a resume. We were all looking at each other. We were bored. We were just counting days. Okay, well, my contract is finished. I'm getting out. And then I was in the college. I missed the army very much, and this time I went back as an officer. So I hope someone listening to this and they can kind of link Career Source to the military out processing.
Yep.
So individuals like yourself, like organization off the bat, when someone is getting out, it's there. So that individual can tell that military member, hey, listen, you're done with this. Come here, I help you.
Correct.
Because both are government, both were working for government, free services. I think this is very important. Resources. Resources are there. How someone can navigate through the resources and guide individuals to get to those resources is very important. And I think as far as let's focus on southern part of Florida, I think even your organization, Career Source, has done a phenomenal job compared even to the VA. Because you, as a veteran myself, I don't know what resources VA has, but your resources are also available right there. You want education, there's so many type of education I can help you. You don't want to get education done, that's fine. You want certification, I get your certification done for you. You can get it. You want to be a truck driver, I can get you to become a truck driver, and so on. So it's very important for veterans community that these resources, especially in South Florida, is available to you free of charge. All you have to do, just either make a phone call and walk through those doors.
That's right.
But one thing I have to mention, leadership is very important. And I think I'm going back to the current subject that is going on these days, laying off federal workers and so on. I had this conversation with a friend of mine. I stated that leadership is very important. Why? Because especially when it comes to the government structure, majority of us, when we work in the government as a government employee, we have this tendency to say, oh, okay, you know what, I'm getting my pay, this is the structure that I have, bye, I'm out. But one thing that I experienced working with you, anytime I would have processed a veteran, or going to the organization, ask for job for veterans or not, you weren't even waiting for the audit time. You automatically auditing me and
Correct.
my coworkers
Correct.
to watching me. Am I missing something? Am I giving a right direction to these individuals? Am I giving a right consultation to them? Hey Reza, why you told this guy do this? We have this grant available for these
Right.
individuals. I think this is much better option. So you were auditing me and my coworkers, and a live audit to make sure the customers, in this case the veterans coming to our office, that he or she is getting the right guidance. And which
Correct.
is leadership is very important, which I wanna one thing that um, most veterans, most combat veterans, because we got non-combat veterans. Most
Correct.
combat veterans gave up at the beginning, and slowly they're coming back uh, to the VA and organizations, different organization, was hope. You
Correct.
go there, someone sitting behind the desk, oh, call this number, they will help you, or click on this link, will help you. But it's going back to the leadership. It's leadership, it's very important, and those leaders are few. And as I always emphasize on that, and I say, when I see a veteran struggling, when I see someone at the hospital, which I'm working, and he or she is a veteran, and looking for some resources and things like that, I tell them, I said, as long as you have Mrs. Nunez working
Oh, thank you.
in the career source, no one gonna delay your process, and no
Correct.
one gonna send you after something that there is no result for you, because she's watching
Yes.
her team. She's constantly, as soon as something enter to the computer, she's watching what's going on. So and I had this conversation with several veterans. I said, trust me, I was one of those veterans that I gave up hope on government organization who's able to help me. But again, going back to the leadership, and I hope most organizations, whether you're helping veterans or non-veterans, you have to have a right leadership to impose uh, 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 regulations and push your team forward to help this public, so you can gain the trust of public.
Right.
And that's something that you have been doing. You have been in this position for about 6 years. Yeah,
Five.
yeah, 5 years. Yes, and you have done that before.
Okay, right.
So
And I think that, and I think you're right. I think it comes back to who the leadership is, and whether they're doing it because it's a passion. I've been very blessed in my career. I've, like I told you before, you go through iterations in life. And this is truly a passion of mine, but I think when you're a leader, you start at the end and you work backwards. What is it that you want at the end? At the end of everything is a human being. And that human being is coming in because they need assistance. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So, what is it that we need to do working backwards to get that person to where they need to be, where they feel whole? And for anybody, for any adult that's in life, you want validation. You want validation that you can be sustainable, that you can take care of yourself, that you can be a part of something and a part of a community. And let's face it, in America today, what validates you is you have the opportunity to work and do something for yourself and for your family. Whatever that work is, whatever that passion that drives you is. You may not be able to work at a job right now that you love, but it gets you to the next place. So I have required, as you know, my staff to take each person that walks through the door and treat them as they want to be treated. That's number one. Number two, you're right. I watch everything that goes on with each one of my staff members? How many veterans are they working with? How long is it taking them to get that veteran to a place where they're job ready? How long has it taken us to get that person a job? What's happening if it's taking too long? Is it that that person doesn't have realistic expectations of the job market? How can we then go in and let them know? We have the data there. We can show them the labor market. This is what's going on here in the labor market. I can tell you right now, the hottest job to get in Broward County right now, if you don't mind working with your hands, believe it or not, is an elevator mechanic. We do not have enough elevator mechanics for the amount of buildings we have in Broward County. So if you get that certification, and it's a certification, if you get that certification and you do that journeyman, which is about a year, you get paid about $80,000 during your training as a journeyman. When you're done, you're out and you're making somewhere around $150,000. And because there's not enough people right now, we've got elevator mechanics making over $300,000 a year.
I need to I need to do
You
that.
know what? If I were a little bit younger and I could get into those shafts and go up and down on those ladders, I think about
No
it.
wonder the elevators are always broken in my hospital.
There you go. But I mean, that's just an example, right? So when you walk in and you say, you know what, I like working with my hands, but I don't know what I want to do. We're in sunny South Florida. Do you know how much money mechanics are making on boats? And guess what? The mechanics on the boats, yeah, there are parts that you have to put together, but it's a computer-based background. Just like now, when you take your car into the shop, right? What's the first thing they do? They hook the computer up to it. So if you have to have those technical skills as well. And if you don't have them, that's okay. Because guess what? We will train you. But it's things like that when you walk in and you talk to our vet reps. What are you interested in? I don't know. Okay, well, what did you do in service? Did you like it? Because sometimes you don't get a job in the service that you like. You're placed, right? But you get some skill sets. So if you don't want to go there, if you're good on computers, but you didn't have that job in the service, okay, let's take what you know about computers. What are you interested in? And that's the important part. So you're right. I do watch my staff very closely because I want to know that they're doing the best thing they can for the people that walk through the door. And that's everybody, not just veterans. And there are some times where we miss the mark with somebody. You're not 100%. You're not 100% in anything that you do. But I want to say that I know that everybody that walks through the door, that's going to get treated with respect. They are going to be listened to. We're going to help you. But in the same vein, we're going to hold your hand through it. But you've got to meet us halfway.
Absolutely. So I want to, again, when I was working for SSVF, it was sometimes majority of times I would work with veterans. I would find the veterans overnight in the streets that they were scared to approach.
Correct.
Right? Why? One reason behind it, hey, I have a criminal background, right? So for those veterans that they have criminal background,
they don't have
what are
to
the
worry.
options?
They don't have to worry. They can come in. Number one, we've now established a list of employers that will work with you, and there are levels. Let's be real. Everybody deserves a second chance, but sometimes you make a mistake that's big enough where the job that you want won't allow you to do it because you have to pass a background check.
Correct.
We will work with you to find something that you can be passionate about. But we have not only employers that are willing to work with you, but we also have federal bonding.
Correct.
So if an employer is on the fence, we will talk to that employer. We will get a bond for you. And that bond is for 6 months, and it can actually be upped each time. It's a $6,000 bond, and it can be upped each time where the employer feels comfortable knowing if they feel something's amiss or something's going to go wrong, that they're financially protected. It gives the employer the opportunity to get to know you, to realize that, you know what, you made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, but everybody needs to have the opportunity for a second chance. It gives them the opportunity to feel comfortable that they are protected financially. And then as they get to know you and realize what a great person you really are, then they don't need the bond anymore. And we find that most of those people stay in their jobs a really long time because they really are good workers and they're good people. They messed up.
One of my first customers, I hate to use the term customer. Clients, yeah. One of my first client, when I was working for you, it was a veteran that he served 20 years in the prison, and he got into the fight with the knife, and this poor guy, he didn't have any legal representative, and he ended up in prison for 20 years. He walked into our office, and the first thing he said, "Hey, whatever you find me, I'll do, but I promise you, I'm not a bad person, and I will not do anything." And so I never stood in front of a person that he was 20 years, spent 20 years in the prison, and he was so honest about it. And he was a rough-looking guy. I mean, 20 years of your life. Think about it.
It's a lot.
One day you hide me in this room, I'm gonna go crazy. 20 years of your life, in the present. I remember all these programs that your organization offers, which is, again, I emphasize on that to the people. These are state-run programs. These are free. These are helping the public.
Correct.
And this guy got his HVAC license.
He did.
Yeah, he had his own truck. He's working for a company, and he got his life together.
Correct.
20 years.
And you got him bonded, didn't you?
Yeah. After 20 years. So these programs exist. I want to emphasize to the veterans. And I know many veterans, they listen to my podcast, and my friends as well. And I want them to spread the word. I also had this conversation with several individuals that their family members are not veterans. One of my good friend, he was asking about his family member that he never had the opportunity to finish high school, and how he can finish the high school. So I did again refer that individuals to Career Source.
Yep.
So I want to shift the subject to non-veterans populations. What programs are available? Continuing education, any other that kind of the public sector that I'm not educated much about it.
Okay, so we do a lot of things for anybody that walks through the door. So as you know, I'm in charge of anything that's job seeker related, and that means that anybody who's not an employer who walks through the door, who's looking to get a job, looking to upskill, meaning they have a job and they want to move up, or they need training in order to get into a career path that they want. So I run all of those programs. We have a plethora of opportunity. First and foremost, we run workshops, and the workshops aren't only to help you write a resume, because you can get onto AI now and write a resume. And by the way, I just want to let you know, if you're using AI to write a resume, you need to tweak it. The HR managers know, because if you're reading a resume for a job and you're reading the same resume for 10 different people who used AI, it's a problem. So use the AI if you need to, but then you've got to tweak the resume to you. What did you do? So just a little side note there. So we do have a resume writing workshop. We have interview skill workshop. We even have financial literacy workshops. Everything that you can think of to get you in there. We also have a PPN program, and what that is it is for those of you who have higher level degrees, who are working in management jobs, who either worked in a management job, who was a leader, even if you were a leader in the military. Though that will get you into a professional network where we talk about leadership. When we're going back to leadership, what do you need now? What is it? What is the workforce looking for in leadership? Because leadership has changed. It's no more management, it's actually leadership. And there is a difference. A manager comes in and they're very technical in nature and what they do, and we need people like that. But when you're talking about leadership, you're actually leading the people, and you know this from your military experience. Those leaders who were successful with you, who you liked, gave you the opportunity to grow. So what does a leader look like there, and what are companies looking for in those leaders? And that program runs over a series of weeks, but there's a networking opportunity there, so that you're meeting with other leaders and employers who are looking for leaders in the community. So we have that going on as well. So those workshops are really, really important because it gets you into the mindset of where you are. We do job searching for you. We help you with that. We are the largest job board, as you know, in the state of Florida. We pull in all of the jobs from the Indeeds, the Monsters, the Jobs USA, I can go on and on and on, Career Builder, all of them. We have all those jobs on our job board, and you can see them. So it's really like a one-stop shop. When you go in there, we'll set up a virtual recruiter for you within our program. So as there are jobs that are open and available, it will let you know in your email, hey, this job is available, come take a look at it. So you're not getting, and I know that everybody that's job search has gone on Indeed because it's the big buzzword, and the minute that you put your email address in there, what happens to your email? You get flooded with all kinds of things from Indeed that have nothing to do with the job that you want. We will not do that. Employ Florida will only send you those emails on jobs that you want to do. If you want to go back to school, we have the, or get a certificate, we have the option for our WIOA training programs. That is an eligibility-based program, so there is a financial factor involved. If you're making too much money as a family, you really aren't eligible for the services that are provided. But the good part is, if your family is making that much money and you do want to go back, they can help you with your FAFSA and let you know where you can get funding to go back to school. But it also gives you a list of all of the training programs and schools that we partner with, and when you look in there, there might be something in there that you didn't think about. We do assessment tests. We'll let you know where you fall with basic skills, with work-related skills, with soft skills that you need for jobs, and we even have aptitude to an assessment. So if you don't know what you want to do, but you know you need to work, and you're thinking about a career, you can come and sit with us and take a skill builder test, figure out what might be good for you with what you like. So if you're good at painting and you like arts and things like that, there are jobs in our community that you don't even know about. We partner with the Film Guild in Fort Lauderdale. There are so many times that we have really creative people that want to do back set drops and things like that and get into the film industry. You would be surprised at the amount of films that, well, I mean, everybody's seen Bad Boys and all of that, but how many times things are filmed in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. We're really slowly becoming a destination spot for directors who want to film. And there's a lot of different jobs in film. Maybe you want to get into graphic design, things like that you wouldn't even think about how that job translates into some of the skills that you have. So come in and we'll help you with all of that. There are opportunities all the time, and there's always somebody there to help.
So I wanna say that to everyone. I had my fair share with different leaders and different individuals that I work with throughout my professional life. As I mentioned several times during this podcast, it's hard to find caring leader. Leadership has different definition. Deborah, as someone that worked with, and I have seen her in action, she's very care about public,
You're
and especially
embarrassing
about.
me.
No, I'm not at all. I'm not at all. One of the reasons that I'm this current position and what I do, and I reflect back to my life and the mistakes that I did, and I correct myself. It's because of individuals like yourself
Thank you.
that they didn't, let me fail
And
and
that's what we
correct
try
me
to
right
do.
on the spot, and help me to get where I am. And so for individuals in Fort Lauderdale in Broward County, um, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose at all, especially for the veterans and their spouses. You have nothing to lose.
Only to gain.
Exactly. You have an individual and her team which are care for you, and they be there for you. Deborah hold her team accountable to help veterans and to help the residents of Broward County when they enter to their office, to make sure that you get high level service and achieve your goals.
And if you don't, you call me. I'm always available.
Absolutely. She no, and she,
And I mean that.
and I have witnessed that. I want our listeners and our viewers to believe when I say that. I personally experienced that. So getting your education done, getting your certification done, getting the right resources.
Right.
There are so many resources in there. If you are suffering, if you're a homeless veterans, if you have doubts, hey, listen, I did this mistake or something happened, I have a criminal background, I cannot find a job. No,
You can find a job.
as Deborah said, believe in the second chances. When I was, I'm the first generation of my family moved to United States. 22 years ago. Or longer than, 22 years ago, when I moved to United States,
Now you have to tell them that you were 10.
my point of entry was Chicago. So from Chicago, I lost my flight. So I stayed in Chicago for one night, and then I flew to Texas. And before that, I used to live in Europe, and a smartphone came out in 2007. So before that, there wasn't any smartphones.
Right.
So I still had a European SIM card. I used to live in Hungary, so I had a Hungarian SIM card in my phone, and it wasn't working in the United States, right? So it took me 2-3 days to settle in. I remember I went to AT&T. I got my first SIM card here in the United States, and I called my mom. Obviously, my mom was stressed out. She was crying. Hey, we didn't hear about you 3 days. This young kid flying all the way across the world to the United States, right? And I remember my father said something very interesting over the phone. He's like, I know nothing wrong would have happened to you, because the United States, the people are very kind, very nice. And United States, if you're someone that is struggling, they will help you. So why I'm saying that, the program exists there for veterans, program exists there for residents of Broward County.
Correct.
And take advantage of that. You got individuals that right now, like Deborah, like her team, are working there, selfless service, and they're there morning till evening. I highly recommend you. You have nothing to lose. Even you walking, get the brochure, have a consultation, see if it works for you. Don't let these benefits to go to waste. It's there for all the veterans and non-veterans to take advantage of these benefits. But I also wanted to, if it's okay, share the information of the career source.
Yes.
So for the individuals to find this information, they have to go to careersourcebroward.com, correct?
Correct. They go to careersourcebroward.com. If you're a veteran and you just want veteran services, it's careersourcebroward.com/veterans. If they want help from the state of Florida, just type in Hope Florida. We have offices all over Broward County. So we have one office that's on Davie Road Extension in Hollywood. We have a second office on Oakland Park Boulevard. And we have a third office in Coconut Creek. So the offices are set up to try to be close to where people live so they don't have to travel so far. I work at the corporate office, but I'm the only Deborah. So if you need me, you just ask one of the staff just to give me a call. I do respond. I do call any clients or potential clients or customers, we call them, back. Give me 24 hours because, as Reza said, I am out and about, and I do go to all three offices to collaborate and work with my staff.
And you're not only running the veterans program, you're covering everything.
Correct.
You're covering everything.
I take care of everybody.
So I want
but
to
I will
say
say that my veterans, and not that anybody's not my passion, but the veteran population is my passion. Reza knows I am an Army brat, a very proud one. Yeah. I just lost my dad in September, but I tell people he went in Korea and he came out in Vietnam. Right. So I am very familiar with being part of a military family. I'm very proud of him and his service and proud of all of the veterans and their service. If it weren't for all of you, we wouldn't be free to make the decisions that we make in this country. And I am very patriotic. And as Reza said, the United States is a beautiful place. We're a place where people get to be free and pick and choose what we would like to do with our lives. We might not always agree on what goes on politically, but guess what? We have the freedom to make those choices. And you have the freedom to come into Career Source or not. We hope that you do come in and work with us. We will help you. Our job and our passion, and believe me, the people that work in those offices really are passionate about what they do. They want to see people successful and sustainable and to be able to stay in Broward County and just beautiful have place. A great life.
Yeah, beautiful place. I wanna, if it's okay, Deborah, I end up our podcast with this. You said something very good. The freedom. That freedom, it's about a little kid moved from Iran to United States and met wonderful individuals like yourself, Deborah, that walked me through. I got my higher education done, and I'm sitting on this table after serving in the U.S. Army, having a conversation with a beautiful, wonderful individual like yourself that dedicated her life to the public service. As someone that lived in Europe for 4 years, as someone that traveled to different countries every couple of months, which is in 2 months, I'm actually going to Africa. Wow. Yeah, so I never seen that any other countries that give me the opportunity like that, sitting around the table talking about the veterans. And I have witnessed it at most of the countries. I have witnessed that, and so the opportunity is there, ladies and gentlemen. And I highly recommend everyone. Until we have great individuals like yourself and like your team, I'm sure that people like myself have something to do. But all you have to do, get up your behind, go to these offices.
That's right. And
you get the job done, because education, healthcare, employment is right there for you.
It is.
I know I have repeated myself several times. This doesn't exist in many countries.
You're correct.
Not at all. So,
but you know what? It's all because of people like you. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to embarrass him, but I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished.
Thank you, Deborah. It's because of individuals like yourself, because of individuals like Bobby. I know Bobby will listen to this one, you know. The guy has spent 23 years of his life, 22 years of his life in the military. So
that's right. Great individual you all are, and you know, it's nice to walk among you and be part of the community with you.
Is Sean still in Career Source?
No, Sean's at Mission United,
wow.
working with veterans and making sure that the municipalities are veteran friendly, which is fantastic.
Nice.
And you know, and that's all part of it. I think all of us who care about people end up staying in it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your
Thank you for
valuable time.
having me.
My pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you.